Okay, everybody. Well, here we are. Now is the time for my responses to your questions that you gave me. So you all asked me a pretty decent amount of questions. I did get like a little bit less than last time, but to be honest with you, I pretty much expected that. But still, I'd say it's a good amount and a good amount for me to answer and everything. So basically, I figured I'll just answer the questions in the order that I received them. I figured that that's the best way to go about it, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Now, I want to apologize in advance. There's certainly a chance that I may mispronounce your name if I don't know it. So I'll try to be as best as I can with that. But if I say it the wrong way, I'm just sorry in advance. Okay, but I'll try to do what I can. Okay. So with that being said, let's get to it. So the first question I have here comes from the Nixter, and in brackets NL515. I guess that's how you say it. And his question is, where does the name Sharky626 come from? Now I've been asked that many times, and I never really answered it, but now I certainly will. So it's really very simple. So let's go back to September of 2006. That was just before I had registered on YouTube, and the end of the month is when I was going to. So I'm trying to think of a username to set up when I'm going to register on here, and I'm thinking okay, so what do I choose here? Well, let's see. It's like, well, I have the shark plushies behind me, so I'm thinking like, okay, well, I know sharks are totally awesome, so let's go with something related to that. And I've heard the name Sharky before. I'd say maybe starting in high school or something. And I know that word is spelled a few different ways. I know it's commonly spelled Sharky or Sharkey. And when I thought about those two spellings, and I'm like, no, I don't like that too much. There's got to be another way of spelling it. And then I remembered, well, you can also spell it Sharkie. And when that spelling came through, I was like, yeah, you know what? I like that. Let's stick with that. So Sharky started there. But I felt like I needed to add something else to it to kind of make it more unique, I guess you could say. Now, at the time in 2006, it was still not really popular, but kind of a common thing still to add numbers to a username, kind of like how the AOL Instant Messenger thing was back when. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't still happen today, but I think back then it was still like a more popular or in thing to do, if you want to call it that. So I'm thinking, all right, well, let me add something else to the Sharky name. Like, what number could I do? And people tend to use their birth years and things like that, but I'm like, no, I don't like doing that. It was like, well, I like sharks, but what else do I like? And I'm thinking, well, my car is a 626 from Mazda. And I'm like, yeah, I really like that car too. So I'm like, yeah, let's add it. Let's put that in too. So then Sharky 626. And that's how it came to be. Sharky pertains to sharks, obviously, and the 626 pertains to my car, believe it or not. I know 626 also pertains, excuse me, also pertains to Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. So some people, kind of related to that as well. And I'm like, that's totally fine because I think Stitch is really cool too. I mean, Lilo and Stitch is a great movie, I think. And when I knew that it could be related to that character from that movie too, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I guess I picked a good number. 626 is the car. It's a cool sounding number, and it's also Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. But the end result is Sharky was for sharks, and 626 had to do with my car. So that's how the name came to be, and I'm really glad I stuck with it. I really like it a lot. So there you go. Now you know how it came to be. I'm sure many of you have wanted to know that already. Okay, and then the next question is by I'm just going to call him a double X because his username is two X's. And his question is, how hot and cold does it get where you live? It's actually a perfect time to ask that question because we're kind of in the middle of a heat wave right now. So I can tell you that today, and this is not including heat index, today the high temperature was right around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So, that's really hot. And normally, summertime around here can be like, 80s or 90s, depending on humidity. Now, I live in the Northeast, so, humidity tends to be higher than, let's say, places like in the Southwest, like, California, Arizona, states like that. So we tend to have higher humidity too, but like not as high as like Florida, for example. Their humidity is insanely high. But roughly normal temperature could be 80 or 90, 80s or 90s in the summer. But 100 like we had today and maybe some of tomorrow, that's certainly a heat wave. So that can happen as well. Now, on the other side, in terms of getting cold, the winters around here are roughly 30s, 40s, things like that. But it can get pretty below that. Case in point would be um, this past Martin Luther King Day, on this past January, it was 15 degrees as the high, and with a wind chill of like -10. And it was brutally cold that day. Let me tell you, it was very cold that day. The house heat was running, but it was keeping up. But it was just, like I said, brutally cold that day. Just a little side point here is a fun fact. On that day, I was off from work because it was a holiday, so my mom and I decided to do the self clean on the oven because we figured, hey, it's frigid outside. Now's a good time to do it. So we did it, and it worked great. Perfect time to do it, really, because the self clean oven, the oven gets really hot and gives off a lot of heat. I don't want to stray too far from the topic, but you get the idea. It gets really hot, so it gives off a lot of heat. So good time to do it when it's really cold outside. Okay, this next comment is a lengthy one. It's sort of a question, but it has some other stuff in between. This one comes from Sean A806. I think that's a Maytag model, if I'm not mistaken. That's a pretty cool thing to do a username with. I know the Whirlpool Direct Drive and older Whirlpool / Kenmore belt drive machines are your favorite, as well as the Speed Queens. But do you have any other vintage machines that you like that were from the 1950s to the mid-1980s? That's his question, but I'll read the rest of his comment here. You may have seen a couple of videos from GSO Hoover on YouTube, and he has a couple of interesting machines in his collection. And GSO Hoover actually has a 1958 Whirlpool Imperial timeline washer, which is probably the only one known to pan to be around this. I don't quite know what he said there. But probably the only one pan to be around this day. It must have been a misspell there, but whatever. GSO Hoover also has a 1956 Whirlpool Imperial as an Imperial gas dryer, and the older Whirlpool 29-inch dryer uses a similar belt and pulley drum drive system like the Maytag Halo of heat dryers, and they are interestingly enough have positive airflow at the lint screen compared to the 1966 to the present Whirlpool 29-inch dryers. Wow, that was a lot of information right there. So his question was, do I have any other vintage machines that I like from the 50s to the 80s? I'm not sure because, I've seen, machines from those earlier years on videos before. Like, I've seen the Frigidaire Unimatics. I've seen the older solid tub Speed Queens, things like that. I don't know because I see them in videos and some of them are pretty cool, but I'm going to be honest, I think some of the newer ones, now when I say newer, I mean like, transmission model, still reliable stuff like that. Those newer ones seem to be a little bit more to my liking, if you want to put it that way. So, if I see a machine from the 50s to the 80s someday in person, who knows, maybe I will tend to like it. Now, by the way, GSO Hoover is a really cool channel. I suggest you check him out. He has some pretty cool washer videos, like the earlier Whirlpool belt drives, the Unimatics, maybe something else. I can't quite remember all his videos at the moment, but he has some pretty cool stuff. If you like washer videos, you should check out his channel. It's pretty good. Yeah, so to answer your question, I'm not sure. I haven't really seen enough to really catch an interest in them, so to say. So, maybe, like I said, at some point in the future, if I actually happen to see these kinds of machines, maybe something will happen. Who knows? But anyway, water time. Okay. So, I hope that answers your question best you can. Best I can, rather. Sorry. What happened to the thing here? There we go. Okay, so the next question comes from Rosie Brown, and she asked, "Where did you get those awesome traffic lights?" And she just has a thing below here. That's too personal. No, Rosie, that's not too personal. Don't worry. The traffic light behind me, I got in September of 2012. From 2011 until maybe October. No, till around. Let me say it again. From late 2011 to about November of 2012. That's when they were doing one of our town roads where they were replacing all the light sets, except for two because one belonged to the county and the other one belonged to the state. So I've always wanted a traffic light ever since I was a kid, and I figured with the traffic with this road having all their light sets replaced, now is the perfect time for me to ask the worker if I could get a traffic light. And to my surprise, he said yes. But that's awesome. I'm like, well, that's great. When can we possibly work out something to get it? So at some point, he took me to where the old lights were stored. He gave me that one, and that's how I got that one as well. And here's Bella. um, that's how I got that light. Now, the second light, the inline turn signal, I got that from a county road in, I'm going to say June. I mean, it's in the video, but I can't look up the video right now. June or July of 2017. It could have been May for all I know. And that traffic light I actually took notice of back in 2014 because my mom and I went down that road for something, and when I saw that inline turn signal on the span pole, I was like, oh man, if they ever replace the lights on this road, I would just love to be able to grab that. And then little did I know, 3 years later, there would be a project where they would be replacing all those lights on that road. So then that was my opportunity to ask the worker, hey, listen, I'm like this inline turn signal. Is there any chance I could possibly get it? And we worked things out, and then sure enough, I got it. Now I got that traffic light on the day that I was suffering from E. coli. Okay, so that didn't stop me. I was like, no, I mean, if I don't get this light now, that's it. My chance is over. So I got it, and it's still in the basement. I still haven't worked on it yet, but it is here, and that's how I got those two traffic lights. And they're both incandescent, and as you know, they don't put those kinds of lights up anymore. So I think it's good to have those just for kind of memory sake and things like that. But that's how I got them. And she says she has another one here. Oh yeah, what was your original goal with this channel? And if it has changed now, what is your goal for the future? I don't know if I have any specific goals for this channel. I just basically, I upload stuff because it's fun and because people watch it. It's as simple as that. I'm kind of one of those old school YouTubers, if you want to call it that, where I just upload because I want to. It's my own stuff, 100% my own stuff, and I built up an audience over time, and I upload because people watch it and it's fun. So I mean, I don't know if that's really a goal per se, but that's why I have this channel the way it is. So, like I said, no really specific goal on this channel, but the goal is just to, I guess, upload and have people enjoy it. Like I said, I don't think that's a goal itself, but it serves a purpose, and really, it's been a lot of fun. And she also says, congrats on all the subscribers. You're totally awesome. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. It's really been great. And it's awesome that I passed 3,000 subscribers. This channel has a steady growth, but steady growth really isn't bad at all. Okay, so the next one this isn't really a question, but I'm probably going to butcher this name, so just sorry in advance, okay? Excuse me there. It comes from Peter Musbaby. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly at all, but that's just how it looks, how it's spelled, okay? And he says, love the way you were crystal clear about explaining no questions about politics, religion, and personal questions. I agree with you 100%. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, that's the best way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even in person, I don't talk about that stuff because it's like I said in my last, I think it was in my Facebook free video, I said, talking about that stuff doesn't make a good time. And it really doesn't. I stated that as a fact. It doesn't make a good time. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to annoy people or cause all this stuff. My shirt looks kind of weird here. Sorry. It's going to cause all this stuff, arguing. And I'm like, I don't get involved with that stuff, I'm just putting it to you this way. I believe what I believe, okay? And I think that's no one else's business but my own, unless I can wholeheartedly trust someone to talk about that stuff. And like I said, that's only one person, and he's from Long Island. He's not far from where I used to live. So, aside from that, I just don't discuss that stuff. It never causes good things to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm glad you agree. Good way to be. Okay, now we have, let's see, we have a couple of questions here from Liz Boz. He's been a subscriber for a long time now, I think since 2010, 2011 roughly. His question is, got a few questions here. Um, have you ever played in or been associated with friends in a band, in a music band of any sort? Asking only as a musician myself. No, I really haven't. I mean, I did play in bands in middle school and high school, but that was just mostly because it was part of the curriculum. I didn't really have any plans to join a band. But if you would like to know, I did play the clarinet for those years, and especially in high school for all 4 years. I was in the first clarinet section, like how there's first, second, and third sections for instruments. I was in the first section for all 4 of my high school years, and that was awesome. It was great to be able to play the main parts, the melodies and things like that. So I'm really glad that I was able to get that in high school, especially. That was pretty awesome. What are your thoughts on Android products versus Apple products in general? I think people really misunderstand me in this situation a lot. Okay, and that is, I mean, yes, I use Apple products, and I'm going to admit it's because I grew up with them. But and then other people notice about me. I don't. I'm not the kind of Apple user who buys things every year, every 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my last iMac I was on for like 9 years before replacing it, and the phone I had was replaced after maybe it was a few years. I know that, but the reason that happened was because my folks and I were on the same account, and my dad damaged his phone, and we got an upgrade for like it was either a reduced price or really didn't cost anything. So I can tell you this: the phone I now have the iPhone 6s, and that didn't come anywhere near $1,000 like it is today. And like, believe me, I myself am saying a phone costing $1,000 is ridiculous, especially in 2019. Okay, I mean, the fact that an iPhone can cost that much is just crazy. As long as this iPhone works, let me do that again. As long as this iPhone that's right here works, I'm not getting rid of it. It works, it's good, not going anywhere. That's how I am. Now, Android products, I did use a couple of their products before. I took a look at them, see what their functionality is. Really, it's not bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm just more used to what the Apple ones are. And the thing about me is, if you want to use whether it be an Android product, a Microsoft product, if you want to use it, that's fine. It's your decision. I can't stand it when people give me a hard time, because I use something that's the Apple brand, okay? If I'm not giving you a hard time, why am I getting a hard time, okay? I think it's just ridiculous, especially people who are adults. And when I say adults, I mean like, 18 plus, okay? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't give you a hard time. Why are you giving me a hard time? I don't mean you, I just mean people in general, okay? It's like, it's my money, not yours. Why do you care? You know what I'm saying? I'll use what I want, you use what you want, and everyone's happy. That's how I am, okay? And what is this? Oh, yeah. Have you ever considered being pied or slimed at Jay's on a future 4th of July event? I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it a couple of times, to be honest, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would enjoy it very much. I mean, granted, I've never tried it, so I can't say accurately if I would or not, but just that's just not my thing, really. Just having all this stuff on you, because I mean, I had something kind of like that years ago, but as a kid, I could be different. I could have thought differently than I do now. So I'm really not sure. Maybe not. That's the best answer I can give you. So, hope that's an acceptable answer for you. Let me get some more water here. Okay, good to have that. All right, so this question. So this next question here comes from what is it? Aditya Rajesh. I think that's how you say your name. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but okay. Seriously, I'm asking you this question. When are you going to make a live stream? Why are you making videos like this? Making a live stream would be a lot easier to answer people are your fans' questions. I know what he's saying there. I don't know how much I agree with you on that, man, because, even being over 3,000 subscribers, I don't know how much of a subscriber base I have to do a live stream. Now, granted, I've never tried it, so I have no past experience. But, I have seen people who have done live streams with roughly, 1,000, 2,000 subscribers, and not that many people watch. Now, not that many is a vague term. That could be different to what you and I put it out to be. But, I have been thinking about doing a live stream before, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be anything different other than what I'm doing right now, which is, doing this Q&A thing. I really don't think there'd be anything beneficial to it. I mean, if you guys think differently, you go ahead and let me know. But at least when I do this Q&A video, I make the initial one, some time goes by, so that gives people time to ask the questions that they want. And, if I do a live stream, it happens then and there. Now, of course, I could always make a community post or something saying, hey, I'm going to do a live stream on this day. But I really don't think that would catch as many people's attention. But again, I've never tried it, so who knows? Maybe sometime in the future I will try it. But like for right now, I just don't see the purpose. It seems to annoy you. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't see the harm in doing it. I don't see the harm in doing it this way. Just be patient, man. Okay. At some point I may do a live stream, but I can't promise you it's going to be soon. It may take a while. I don't know. So just stay calm, and maybe at some point, you'll see what I mean. Maybe just watching this video, you'll see what I mean. But just stay calm, okay? At some point, I might do it. Okay, here we go. And then the next question comes from Esky Wolf. Hey, nice to get a question from you, man. Apologies in advance for this, but what's your opinion of that Baby Shark song? And do you watch Shark Week on Discovery? Oh man, that song. I mean, I guess that answers your question right there. But I mean, it's not a bad song for kids, so to say. But it's like I really don't like. It's played a lot. I mean, like people who know me, they always try to like sing that song or something, and I'm just like, really? I mean, come on. Like, I mean, it's funny initially, but after it happens all the time, well, I shouldn't say all the time, like several times, it gets annoying after a while. And do you watch Shark Week on Discovery? I used to. I stopped watching it around, I don't know, 2008, 2009. That's just because it became all this ridiculous stuff, like, is the megalodon still alive, or like, or the sharks are just ruthless man-eaters, which has been shown time and time again that that's not true. So, do I watch Shark Week? No, I haven't watched it now for like well over 10, 11 years, and from what I understand, I'm not missing much of anything. So, I used to, not anymore. Okay? Okay. My next question here comes from Andrew G. Got a few questions, he says, and his first question is Whirlpool your favorite appliance manufacturer altogether? I know you really like the direct drive washers. I don't particularly know if I have a favorite manufacturer, okay? I mean, I like the Whirlpool direct drive washer for a number of reasons, and I'll tell you why. And as a matter of fact, I'll tie it into a second question here. Why do you prefer the Whirlpool direct drive washers over the belt drive machines made before 1986? Well, I'll admit that probably the reason I like them could be a little bit biased, and that just could be because, what is it? I grew up with them. Now we moved into the Long Island house in 1990. I was born in 1988, so I don't know what machines they had beforehand. But I mean, that's the machine I remember the most, obviously, because before 2 years old, I'm not going to remember what laundry machine we had, but I like them because, so you're asking why compared to the belt drive. Okay, well, a couple reasons is that the opening for the tub is a little bit larger, like the D shape, it goes back a little bit more, so you have more space to put your clothes in. And I know on the belt drive, the way that the fill, I think it's called a fill flume, is set up, it's not as visible or appearing as the fill spout on a direct drive, where you have the water going down like that and you can really see it go down, and it just looks a little bit stronger, I guess. So that's another reason. And I know with the Whirlpool belt drive, a lot of people are a fan of the woo-woos as it's agitating, and the direct drive doesn't have that. It has that, that sound, and I know on the belt drive, people are a huge fan of the buzz click clunk when it goes from drain to spin. Now on the direct drive, I'm always a huge fan of the neutral drain, because it's agitating, and then the motor stops, and then the neutral drain always starts with that with that click clunk, which is, the click is the centrifugal switch on the motor, and the clunk is the agitate cam in the transmission shifting, and just that sound of the motor turning back on and the transmission really going fully into neutral is like a start of the neutral drain. Now, like I said, neutral drains tend to not be that exciting on washers, but the way the direct drive is designed, just the way it sounds, really sounds like it's preparing for something and it's doing something. Because when the direct drive is in neutral, the agitate gear is going back and forth still, and it makes that rum 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 sound that I really like. And like when I hear that sound, I'm like, that just sounds awesome, because I know that like the gear is still moving back and forth. It's making that cool sounds, and just like I said, just the way it sounds, like I've said in the washing videos with Jay, it sounds like it's preparing for something. So that's why I really tend to like the direct drive over the belt drive. Now, the belt drive is by no means a bad machine, anything but. I'm just saying that the direct drive has certain features that I think make it stand out from the belt drive. That's just me. People out there may think differently, and those are a few of my reasons. There could be some more reasons, but I can't think of them at the moment. But it definitely just does sound like it sounds like a cool machine with how it operates. And as a matter of fact, when the machine is in spin, you can still hear the agitate gear going back and forth. It makes more of a rubbing sound instead of the resonating sound. Again, why it has that difference in the transmission with neutral and spin, I don't know. But just the sounds it makes is really pretty awesome, and that's probably why I tend to like it more than the belt drive. And his third question is, what is your opinion on the GE filter flow washers? I've actually never seen them in person operating. I have seen some filter flows at houses, but just there. I didn't see them in operation. And, as a kid, I'd open the lid, and they had the filter on top of the agitator. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, how do you put clothes in here? And, of course, little did I know, the filter comes off the agitator. That's how you do it. So I've never seen them operate in person before. Sorry there. I've obviously seen them operate on YouTube videos, and they seem pretty cool. The whole filter flow thing is pretty unique, I would definitely say. There is a video by someone, I don't know his name, but the options on the machine are very interesting. Basically, your wash temperature is selected by the cycle you choose, the cycle button, and the temperature selection is very interesting. From left to right, it goes cold wash, normal, warm rinse. So basically, if you have the knob on normal, whatever selection you have for wash, it's either going to give you warm or hot wash. And normal means all cold rinses. And if you switch it to cold wash, it means no matter what, you're going to have a cold wash. And when you switch it to warm rinse, it means the cycles are going to give you hot, warm, or cold, depending on what you want, but then you're going to get a warm rinse. And that was a pretty interesting option. When I first saw that machine, I was like, wait, how does that work? But I paused the video in certain places, and it showed on the lid, how the functions actually work. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing to see. So filter flows are pretty cool washers. That's actually one machine I don't at all know how they work, because I know the tub does free spin when the machine is off, but I know when it starts agitating, the tub kind of indexes, and then at some point it like locks into place and then holds there as it's agitating. Again, I don't know how that works, but that is pretty interesting, and they sound like pretty cool machines. But again, it's hard to find a machine out there that just has that exciting sound that the direct drive does, especially with draining. Now, I know they spin drain, but like with neutral drain, it's an exciting sound machine with the direct drive. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see here. The next one is by Declan Marsh. I think that's how you say it. And their question is, was there any difference mechanically to the 1990 Whirlpool and 2010? Aside from the control panel, there were some differences. Like the 2010 washer had the newer style agitator where it had bumps on the bottom of the dual action top part instead of just it being a smooth surface. And I think the cam mechanism for the dogs might have been a little bit different too. Now there was also I know the spin clutch was also designed differently. On the 1990 Whirlpool, it has, the 6 pads on the band that go on the drum, And the drum itself has an even number of holes on the drum instead of the little vent slots that the newer spin clutches have. And on the newer spin clutch on the 2010, there's only 3 pads. I guess it's cheaper, maybe more give, I don't know, but I think you can get a 6-pad clutch just fine, and that will work fine as well. And the only other difference that I know of, also the drain pump was redesigned, and also inside the agitator, not the agitator, inside the transmission, I had mentioned about the agitate gear cycling. I know on older direct drives, the connecting gear for the agitate gear was a little bit thicker in older transmissions than newer ones. I think that probably explains why how on some newer direct drives with neutral drain, the transmission, rather the gear sounds kind of louder than the smoother ones of the older transmissions. I think that's why, because the gear was a little bit thinner. Could be to cheaper part, for all we know, because it's not as much metal. But any other, that's what I know. But any other mechanical differences? I think that's about it, really. If anyone wants to chime in there, they can add something too if they want. Their second question is, what's your opinion on the UK front loaders? I have actually used those before. Well, not really UK ones, but Europe, because I have family that lives in Italy, and we did use their machine 1, 2, or 3 times. Well, one of those numbers, and the biggest problem I had with them was that they just took forever. I mean, they took forever to do a wash cycle, so I'm not really a huge fan of them. It's like, a lot of them like to say, like, how it only lets in cold water, but it has a heater that heats up the water. Okay, so the machine's going to be using electricity and time to heat up the water. How is that efficient? And they say, like, your clothes aren't getting washed if you don't put the washer to, like, what is it? I think it's like, 90 degrees Celsius and, what is that, like 190 Fahrenheit or something? I don't have a converter on me right now. And that's like a near boil. And I'm like, why do you have to wash clothing in a near boil of water? Because, my whites I wash it hot, but this clothing, like this shirt and everything else, I wash on warm. And I've been doing that for over 31 years now, and never gotten sick from it, never gotten this, that, whatever. And I wash towels on hot as well, just to put that in there. So it's like, you really don't have to. So I'm really not a huge fan of them. I'm sorry, but it's like, I like a machine that I can get where, like, it takes maybe roughly just over a half hour to do a load, and the dryer doesn't take that long either. Maybe 50 minutes on some cases. So again, I just don't see a reason for the machines to have to really run that long. You know what I'm saying? To me, it makes no sense. And I just you get the idea. And their third question is, I'm not intending to get political, but do you worry about the future, like recessions? I'm one of those people who worries about everything. Being cautious about stuff is okay, but if you live your life worrying about everything, that's no way to live. I'm just going to tell you that right now. All right? I mean, you can certainly be careful with your money, so that if by chance that does happen again in the future in your lifetime, it's not going to affect you that much. And that doesn't even have to pertain to recession. That could pertain to just the money you make. Like, I try the money that I make from work, I try hard to save, because, like, let's say, for example, I have a car problem and it costs like maybe $300-400 to fix. Well, thankfully, because I saved up the money, I can spend that money safely and be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing my parents always taught me as a kid, and especially as a teenager, was to, always be careful with your money. Save up, don't spend, what's the word? Recklessly, I think that's the word. And, that was, great advice for them. It's for any parent to give that. That's great advice, So, am I worried? I'm really not, because, like, I do what I can to make sure that, if the unforeseen circumstance or whatever you want to call it happens, I should be okay. Did you get what I'm saying? That wasn't too much of a political question. I was more than happy to answer that. So maybe you kind of get the idea with that. And their fourth question is, are you considering getting a second washer like a used direct drive? I would like to, honestly. Maybe at some point in the future, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea, because you know how much I love them. I'm assuming you know how much I like them, how awesome I think they are. And, that'd be cool to have. I could have it as like a project machine. I could bring it down to the basement. I could, I could work on it, check how it is, see how it runs, and maybe even get a matching dryer. Because even though they're on the older side now, they were mass produced. So getting a used one really shouldn't be all that hard. Hopefully, I'd like to get one that has a warm rinse and stuff like that. But yeah, sometime in the future, I would like to get one. I think that would be pretty cool, honestly. Definitely be a cool thing to have. Okay, guys, so you know what? We're coming up to just about 35 minutes here, so I'm going to stop this video right here. So, yes, there will be a part two, and hopefully, for those of you who missed a chance to ask a question, you can do it in this video, because I'm going to do a part two. I don't know if I'm going to do a part three, but, time will tell. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this first response video. Definitely a lot of fun. Hope you like my answers to the questions so far. And at some point, I will do a second response video, so stay tuned for part two. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.